Radio Free Cybertron.
Transformers. Rewind.
This alligator is big and heavy on Transformers Rewind this week because it's City of Steel.
Remove the debris, Long Haul.
Remove! Remove! Always remove! I didn't join this outfit to be a dump truck!
The Decepticons have set up shop under New York City. After stealing the Empire State Building, Megatron launches his plan to convert New York into New Cybertron.
The Empire State Building is sinking!
The Autobots head out there to stop Megatron, but a fight in Central Park ends with the Decepticons capturing Optimus Prime.
Meanwhile, officials are baffled as to the cause of the disappearance of the world-famous Empire State Building.
Megatron's work. If we don't get to New York City fast, there won't be a city left to get to.
There! Optimus Prime is directly overhead!
Then dig, you fool, dig!
Severed your motor relays, Prime. Welcome to the wonderful world of suspended animation.
Megatron cuts off his motor function and uses him as a hostage to force the Autobots onto the city. On the way out, Spike diverts the Autobots to the sewers instead. Megatron's a bit paranoid with Prime around and has the Constructicons take him apart and do whatever they want with the leftovers, while Megatron keeps the head.
Your pitiful attempt to stop my conquest of New York City has failed, Prime. And soon the rest of North America will fall to me as well. But even immobilized, you worry me. Look, disassemble him at once.
With finesse and pleasure.
Excellent work, Hook. You're an artist. Don't you agree, Optimus?
As long as power flows through any of my circuits, Megatron, I'll fight you.
Spike and the Autobots in the sewers run into a brightly colored alligator robot, while Hound's tracking sensors are getting confused as to where exactly Prime is.
In some messy swamp, not under the biggest city in North America.
Wait! My sensors indicate Optimus isn't in front of us anymore. He's behind us.
It looks good ahead, but it looks miserable back there. Get out of there! I'll cover you!
This way. It's the only chance we've got against that robot reptile. I can feel it in my microcomputers. But I can't figure out why my sensors keep saying Prime's behind us instead of in front.
They send the alligator for a ride in the train, and get in Megatron's basement to find Prime's head. Figuring out what's up, they have to go back and grab the alligator pod. But this alligator is big and heavy, but they manage to subdue it, and Ratchet rebuilds Prime's body, short and arm. Attacking Megatron's fortress from outside, they encounter evil taxis, and Prime's arm is the fortress's defense battery. Devastator is formed, who grabs Prime and climbs a tower, while Wheeljack remote controls some helicopters and makes a painfully lengthy King Kong reference.
Devastator says, your end is near.
I saw this once when I linked my data bank to an Earth television transmission. I think it was called King Kong. And Devastator reminds me of that big baboon.
it get to you, Wheeljack? Maybe Devastator saw the same picture.
Meanwhile, Spike and Bumblebee decide to invade Megatron's control room by themselves because that's a great idea, but somehow they manage to not die and break the control over Prime's arm. Prime uses it against Devastator, who goes down with just a single hit. The Decepticons retreat, and the city is supposedly back to normal.
That is like the longest description of an episode you've done so far.
Really?
Yes. But it's totally
Sorry.
warranted. It's totally warranted because this is like the worst episode of Transformers ever.
No, it's not.
It's up there.
Wow.
It's not like it's called The Primitives.
Oh, dude, this is so worse than Call of the Primitives.
No, I actually enjoy watching City of Steel.
I like watching it because it hurts.
You would. So this is one of the infamous episodes animated by ACOM instead of whoever does the majority of the Season 2 episodes.
Oh.
And boy, does it show!
Yeah. I love
No
how
wonder it was crap.
I love how the scales are off and how
And the
Ironhide
character models.
models,
The frame rate.
how Ironhide just slumps over like he's drunk at one part. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, what the hell? That was awesome.
And yet at the very beginning of the episode, there were just a couple of really short sequences that were done very smoothly, and I started to think, wow, this is pretty good. And then there was the rest of it.
Yeah. I'm a firm...
And I really do love...
What, Brian?
I was going to say, I am a firm believer that even worse than like Carnage and C Minor, I think this is the worst episode of Transformers ever. I've watched it multiple times, with the exception of maybe another episode that we talk about soon. It's just awful. I mean, there's nothing redeemable about this episode. Nothing. Except that it makes me happy because it's so
alligator's
bad.
big and heavy.
Oh, God. So, let's see here. I think it has one of the most awkward lines in all of Transformers. Optimus is talking about how he thinks that he can control the Alligator Con. And he says, and I quote, "That is, if I really am a part of that jigsaw puzzle of a Reptilicon." But he says it like in 2 beats. Just
You find that more awkward than the King Kong thing?
yes.
Really?
I find that more awkward than the fact that Optimus Prime somehow has mind control.
He's a
Well, no, it
psychic.
makes sense he has mind control over his own body parts. I
No.
mean, he
No, it
controls it with
doesn't.
his mind normally anyway.
Roller.
Not to mention his arms can float in the air and trip Megatron, and he trips and he goes, "Oh, yeah, you know what? Just take this away. I'll keep the head because, you know, the head's not going to, like, shoot lasers at me randomly because why doesn't Optimus Prime... I mean, if Optimus Prime somehow can control his limbs from, like, way the hell on the other side of the sewer, why can't he just get laser eyes all of a sudden? It's so inexplicable.
It's bad.
This was an acid trip of an episode.
It is.
That's what
It's
it really
And, you know, the other thing, too, is when, they cut to Prime having been rebuilt, there's still a bunch of parts on the floor around him that look like, Prime's pieces.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, we're just like, meh, meh.
You didn't need those anyway.
Yeah.
You know. There's always a few spare parts left over, like
bad.
half your
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah, when you take something apart and you put it back together, there's always spare parts.
I
That's what
know,
they're-
right?
That's what they're there for.
Another one of my favorite parts is Optimus Prime is disabled and his motor relays are severed by a soldering iron. A freaking soldering iron.
That was actually, like, that just touched,
That
the
touched
plate.
him, yes.
He didn't, like, rip open a body part or something and hit him with it, but instead he just touched him on it. He's like, oh, I got you.
Well, see, that's why Prime died in the movie.
Yeah.
Because Megatron cut into his motor relay and he couldn't move or something.
Right.
Except that he did.
Let's
Well,
see.
this makes perfect sense in my head. Don't question me.
He moved because he was using mind control on the rest of his body at that point.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember if it was if it was long haul or which Constructicon it was that ended up making the hole or the sinkhole that Optimus fell through. His shovel ended up being like a mile long.
Wasn't it Scavenger?
Was it Scavenger? Okay. it was like a mile long. He was like deep in the recess of the earth, and then it was like, oh, let me push this lump of dirt up to get Optimus to fall down, and Optimus felt like 50 miles or some ridiculous distance.
Yeah.
There's just no scale in this episode.
But that's why he lost his motor reflex. That's why a soldering iron took care of his motor thingy-majiggies, because he fell like 50 light years away, and he finally landed.
And right after that, there's a scene where Megatron is standing over Optimus, and Megatron's arm overlaps Optimus's smokestack, and Optimus is laying on the floor, so his arm is like 7 times longer than his body. This is just a really poorly put together episode.
That they come.
I love it. Did they do Child's Play?
I don't think. Well, okay. Off the top of my head, the ACOM episodes are City of Steel, Roll for It, and crap, can't remember the other one. There was 3 of them though in season 2 that I remember.
Yeah, Roll for It had some pretty bad scale too, but I like Roll for It.
I hate that episode.
It's kind of I like it because it's boring and innocuous. It's like it's when G1 was at its best. When I say G1, I mean the first 2 seasons.
Of course. Because we all know that after the movie it was G2 then.
No, it was amazing then.